Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
Can you state
She's asking
categorically,
a question. Don't
Mr.
be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You are
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a
question.
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. We do a live radio show every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern through our Freedom Bunker in the People's Republic of Ann Arbor at Wham Talk 1600 Studios. The radio show can be listened to every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern free. How? Go to davejanda.com, hit the listen live button, you're with us. Now, if you want the podcast, it's part of our subscription service, 24/7 access, not to just the latest show, but to all of our shows, all the way back to October of 2010. In addition, we have extra shows and extra videos and extra content and extra analysis at davejanda.com. Stop on by. You will not be disappointed, but you will be educated and empowered, something that the globalist cult syndicate does not want. Because if you're educated and empowered, well, you're a tougher entity to bring down for them. And they don't like that. They want you ignorant and in fear. That's it. They want you sitting on your couch, panicked, consuming their propaganda on their boob tube or whatever media tentacle they throw at you. And they don't want you educated or empowered. Well, that's why they can't stand us, and I'm proud of that, and have been for decades. They can't stand what I do on Operation Freedom, on davejanda.com, because it's all about educating and empowering every person who comes to the radio show, to the videos, to our website. We hope you become part of our Freedom family. Become a subscriber, 30 cents a day for priceless information I cannot go into on this platform or any social media platform, or frankly on the radio. 30 cents a day. Try it for a month, $9. If you don't like it, get rid of it, but I don't know why you would. Because it's your life preserver in this deep sea created chaos. One of the issues, we delve into many issues across the board on Operation Freedom, and one of which is the environment. In how our environment is not only critical to us, but how we can keep it clean, keep it safe in a reasonable fashion. And to evaluate the science as it relates to the environment. And we call out the perpetrators who are actually harming the environment. And that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to call this presentation the Environmental Grim Reaper. I want to start with RFK Jr. He recently gave a presentation, and it was very similar to what I believe our country's number one meteorologist and weather historian, Joe Bastardi, has presented. He's a regular on our platform. You might have seen him on some other TV shows, but Joe is a regular on Operation Freedom, has been for over a decade. And when I heard RFK say this, I thought, it sounds like he channeled Joe. RFK Jr. says climate change being exploited to push totalitarian controls. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said that climate-related issues are being exploited by wealthy individuals in a bid to enact totalitarian controls over society. Quote, climate issues and pollution issues are being exploited by mega billionaires like, Billy Gates. Quote, the same way that, for the past 3 years, was exploited to use it as an excuse to clamp down on top-down totalitarian controls on society and then give us engineered solutions. Unquote. Kennedy suggested that other than good old Billy, the World Economic Forum is also exploiting climate-related policies to produce a totalitarian society. Quote, what we have in this country now is not free market capitalism, it's corporate crony capitalism. It's a cushy kind of socialism for the rich and a brutal, barbaric, merciless capitalism for the poor. He's absolutely right. This is an engineered problem with faux solutions. However, those faux solutions are meant to harm you and me and every person in the world. Sound familiar? Does the past 3 years kind of make sense? So recently, we've had these wildfires. Now, I live in the state of Michigan. And about 2.5 weeks ago, we had these air action alert days because of the wildfires. And then we had them again this past week. Now, I've been fortunate to travel to different parts of our country and around the world. And in some of those travels, I've encountered some either active forest fires occurring or recent forest fires or forest fires in the past. But these seem a little different in a sense that when I went out for a walk last week in Michigan, I wasn't out very long and my eyes were burning, my throat was burning, my eyes were watering, and there was this bleach smell. I contacted a friend of mine who lives in a neighboring state where it was also under action alert, air quality issue. He said, "You been outside?" Yeah. I didn't tell him what I had experienced. I said, "What are you getting?" I get this burning sensation, and Dave, if this is weird, but it smells like bleach. And that's without me prompting. There's something going on here. Not sure what it is. But the bought-off lamestream fake media is telling you, these wildfires, they're all because of climate change. Huh? Media blames climate change for Canadian wildfires despite arrest of multiple arsonists. While the mainstream media, this from Maria Murkowski, while the mainstream media continues to point to climate change as the source of the wildfires, reports show that multiple people have been arrested in connection with dozens of intentionally set fires in the Canadian country. It turns out that some of their satellite imagery showed that these fires were all starting on the same time, roughly. And it wasn't from lightning strikes. LifeSite News, despite the arrest of multiple arsonists, the mainstream media in Canada seems intent on attributing the nation's recent wildfires to climate change. Dozens of arsonists have been arrested for allegedly setting these fires. The Brownstone Institute recently delved into this issue and said that bad policy assures a perpetual state of burning crisis. Here's what they say. Forest fires are big, mediagenic events. They're also widely misunderstood and being used to make outlandish claims in favor of climate policy that has nothing whatsoever to do with the matter at hand. The whole move from global warming to climate change seems a cynical ploy to try to sidestep the real, quote, inconvenient truth, end quote, that the data is stubbornly refusing to conform to the anthropogenic climate change narrative, man-made. The data is not showing that, right? To the point where federal agencies are deleting historic data to try to make it look like something recently changed, when in the 1870s we have documentation of, being much warmer than it is now. doesn't quite fit that whole. Right. These fires have been going on for thousands of years and are healthy, natural, and even vital to forest ecosystems. They are literal burn ecologies. Fire is part of their life cycle. The unavoidable baseline fact is this: it is not climate change driving the rise in fires, and especially megafires, it's policy change. The key fact here is a simple one. An ounce of prevention is worth 1 million flamed acres of cure. Everyone used to know this. The huge drop in fires in the past in the United States came from figuring this out. It's not an exotic technology nor some obscure practice. It's what used to be the literal core and basis of sound forestry management. What works is thinning forests through logging and small controlled burns. You need to cut down some of the trees and clear the brush. Doing this leaves more water for the trees that remain, keeps them alive and healthy instead of dead and dried out, and clearing the brush removes the kindling that lets the big fires get going. But that's not how the syndicate players want to handle the environment, because they're grim reapers. And they put their puppets out to provide complete mis and disinformation. A climate prophet, Joe Biden, recently said, quote, "The impacts of climate change are going to get more frequent and ferocious. That's why my administration has launched the first ever Climate Resilience Regional Challenge for coastal and Great Lake communities. From sea level rises to storm surges, we will be prepared to adapt." So I wonder if he talked to his buddy, the big guy, Barack Obama, because Barack Obama has a huge beachfront mansion, right? In Martha's Vineyard. And he has another huge beachfront mansion in Hawaii. Well, wait, Joe. Slow Joe, Basement Joe, why? Have you been talking to the big guy lately? No, even the government, as I mentioned, is getting caught with their manipulation of information. So historically, Joe Bastardi, as I said, is our nation's top climate historian. During 1878, there was a worldwide heat wave and drought which killed tens of millions of people in Asia and South America. Minnesota had no winter that year. But NASA recently eliminated all temperature data prior to 1880. And doing so created an imagery, it's not reality, imagery of warming trends since 1880. They left out all that heat. Right. So these federal agencies that are supposed to be providing independent scientific data are, does this sound familiar for the past 3 years? Misleading you. They are part of the Grim Reaper set. And let's in particular look at Il Demente Biden, who has become an environmental terrorist. Give me some examples, Dave. All right, number one, Nord Stream. The sabotage that Cy Hirsch has documented came from the West, and in particular through the Biden administration, which we told you about months before Cy Hirsch did, resulted in, quote, more than 115,000 tons of natural gas escaping the damaged pipeline in just 6 days, with a greenhouse gas contribution of approximately 15 million tons of CO2, or the amount of carbon that can be absorbed by roughly 580 million trees in a year, end quote. The environmental administration. No, the environmental Grim Reaper. Just on Nord Stream and what was done there and its effect on the environment. And that leaves aside the effect on humanity. Immediate. Remember, he did that in the fall. He okayed that in the fall of 2022. That put people, businesses, hospitals, schools in jeopardy for this past winter and winters to come. How many people got sick because of this act of being the Grim Reaper as it relates to Nord Stream? Now, a new environmental disaster is building after sabotaging and bombing the Kakhovka hydroelectric dam in the Russian-controlled part of Ukraine. Russia has accused Ukraine and their proxy, the Biden administration, the same administration which has instituted a proxy war in Ukraine by utilizing ever-increasing destructive munitions. Biden is talking about they're sending depleted uranium munitions over. What? Now there's all... At the time of this recording, there's talk about a nuclear event in Russia with a nuclear reactor and possible sabotage. Who's involved in that? At a minimum, with all the $150 billion of taxpayer money that was sent over by the Biden administration and his gang of totalitarian thugs to support that World Economic Forum Z-Man, the countryside has been leveled. Yeah. More environmental action from the Grim Reaper. How about another one? Right here on our own turf. Toxic train gate in East Palestine, Ohio, when the Biden administration did a controlled release and burn that has never been done before that released toxins, not just in the air, but in the soil and in the water, that will not go away in a day, a week, a month, or a decade. More actions of the environmental Grim Reaper. And of course, then we get back to the whole forest fire issue and the Biden administration and administrations before him about malfeasance on forest management, leading to ongoing forest destructions. And gosh knows we need those trees to suck up that CO2, right? And if that's not enough about the negative impact of the environmental Grim Reaper, Biden regime considering a dangerous plan that would block the sun in order to rapidly cool the earth. This from Cullen Lindberger. Now look, on Operation Freedom, for a number of years we had a geoengineering expert, Dane Whittington, on, and you can go back in the archives on her. That's another benefit of being a subscriber. And listen to what Dane presented. And Dane was classified, conspiracy theorist, this is complete. Everything Dane said years ago, right now. The Biden regime is open to letting potentially millions of people and animals die if it means cooling the earth by a few degrees. The Daily Mail, in fact, reported the regime officials released a report, the end of June, suggesting blocking sunlight to rapidly cool the earth. This is a process known as solar radiation modification or solar geoengineering. As the Daily Mail notes, one method would be to significantly increase the amount of aerosols in the atmosphere, which would reflect the sun's rays from the planet. This is what Dane Whittington has been telling us for years, and what he presented on our Operation Freedom show and platform years ago. Conspiracy theory. No, might be conspiracy, but conspiracy reality. Folks, it's imperative that you get accurate information of what's happening all around us, including in our environment. If you believe government agencies at this point, if you believe the bought-off lamestream fake media, God help you. Because that's the only entity that can help you. Because if you're buying into government agencies, if you're buying into the media and their experts, you're buying into the Grim Reaper. Not hyperbole. Fact. When it comes to the environment, I believe the best site on the internet is weatherbell.com. Weatherbell.com. Joe Bastardi's involved in that. Follow Joe in his information that he presents. Sound, science, data. He has a great book called The Weaponization of Weather. The cult hates it because it's all based on fact, data, and science. Joe is a regular on our platform, Operation Freedom. Join us there as well. The bottom line, folks, is that we need to focus on facts and data and science. And we can no longer, even the least bit, consider that the government, its agencies, big business, and big media and social media want you to know the truth on every spectrum of every issue that concerns you. And that's where the independent media comes in. I hope you'll continue to join us here, in spite of them suppressing notifications, suppressing view counts, suppressing comments, manipulation of view numbers, manipulation of comment numbers, manipulation of like numbers. I hope you'll continue to join us here, but I also hope you'll join us at davejanda.com, where I go into issues and in depth that I cannot do on any media platform, including the radio. And the reason is because there are choke points, people from the cult that are impregnated within such entities, federal agencies as the FCC. And they're meant to clamp down, which is why davejanda.com exists. I hope you'll join us. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.